All right, guys, so no full cam today because I'm a little bit sick, and as you can probably see, my eyes all swollen, messed up right now, so I won't subject you guys to that. I'm going to be hiding down here in the bottom right-hand corner, but we still got to get to the latest news. So here we have Elon Musk with Joe Rogan hosting what seems to be just sort of like the billionaire jerk-off hour at this point, and they're going to get into a conversation about partially crypto and also Social Security and how Elon Musk thinks it's a giant Ponzi scheme in his effort to push for the evisceration of one of the most popular and successful social programs in American history. So let's go ahead and get into this clip here, and then we got a lot more to follow up on.
Well, I mean, the government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so... well, people pay into Social Security, and the money goes out of Social Security immediately. But the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. So you're paying with you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is because of the future obligations. So basically people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and that live for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligations. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
I always love Elon Musk's ability to describe something that has been widely known and understood for years and years and years, but discuss it as if he just uncovered this new truth and reality that if you have less people being born, you have more people retiring, so you have less people going into the workforce, you're going to, as a society, as a country, struggle to fund retirement if you don't change how you're going about doing it, right? As if that's some like radical thing that he just uncovered. No, you're just using the same exact logic, the same exact rhetoric that Republicans have been using for decades to try to undercut Social Security. This is like standard conservative establishment 101 talking points that we're getting here from Elon. You didn't uncover this in some, new revelatory thing here. And that goes for so many other things as well, like with the spending freezes and all of the cuts to the contracts that Doge is, so-called like exposing. They're not actually exposing waste, fraud, and abuse. They're just exposing publicly available information about what Congress has authorized spending for, and they're saying we don't politically or ideologically agree that this should be funded, so we're going to call it waste, fraud, and abuse. It's like that's not how this shit works. But anyways, we're gonna move on here to Bernard Sanders, who has a response to this as well as a pretty simple solution for the problem that Elon is putting forward here about the funding of Social Security into the future.
Now, I think what Musk, the wealthiest guy in the world, just said is totally outrageous. That's a hell of a Ponzi scheme when for the last 80 years, Social Security has paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American. Quite a Ponzi scheme. What is, in fact, a problem is that if we don't make reforms and improve the funding mechanism, in the next 9 years, the Social Security Trust Fund, which provides about 20% of the funding, will go broke. So what we have got to do, and I think most Americans agree, and I've just introduced legislation to do that, is you lift the cap on taxable income. Right now, Musk, worth $400 billion, contributes the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as somebody making $170 million. You lift that cap, we can extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years, and you can raise benefits. Kristen, right now in America, half of elderly people are trying to get by on $30,000 a year, 22% on $15,000 a year. We've got to raise Social Security benefits. We've got to expand Medicare to include hearing, dental, and vision.
So Do you understand what he's saying here, guys? The issue, number one, isn't that Social Security in the imminent future is going to go bankrupt. There's an issue with the solvency of the Social Security Trust Fund, which, as he points out there, makes up about 20%. So by like 2033 to 2035, I forget exactly what the year is, you could potentially start to see a 20% drop in the benefits that are capable of being paid out by Social Security. It's not going to go bankrupt in the immediate future, even if we change nothing right now. But the solution to fixing any funding problems for Social Security is exactly what he just pointed out there. And I think he misspoke and said 170 million instead of 170,000. But there's currently a cap for which after a certain amount every year on your income, you no longer have to pay Social Security, right? Like on every dollar past, I think it's 160 or 170,000, you no longer have to pay that Social Security tax. So the point he's making there is you could be somebody like Elon Musk who makes $100 billion in a year, and you are going to pay the same amount into Social Security as somebody who's making $160,000, $170,000 a year. If you lift that cap and make billionaires and millionaires like Elon Musk pay their fair share proportionately into the program, then there is no funding issue. It can be funded for the next 75 years. And not only that, but you could afford to expand the benefits so that seniors aren't having to struggle on, $30,000 or $15,000 a year just to survive, right? So it's just a completely contrived, made-up issue that conservatives use in order to try to undercut the program, to undercut the legitimacy of the government, and to try to push it off to Wall Street, to privatize the system. So, good response there, of course, from Bernie Sanders. He's been talking about this for a very long time at this point. Now, at the same time, even though the Trump administration said, we're not going to do anything to Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid on the campaign trail, they are already ripping it to shreds, right? Now, keep in mind, he could run into some major political issues here down the line, because this is arguably the most successful and the most popular social program in American history. So if you're slashing, at this point it's 7,000, but they say they want to cut upwards of like 50,000+ jobs from Social Security, you're eventually going to run into some issues with that, right? And maybe the checks stop going out, and then you're really fucked. So to follow up on that, we had here from Martin O'Malley, former Social Security commissioner, who said, ultimately, you're going to see the system collapse in an interruption of benefits. I believe you will see that within the next 30 to 90 days. He says people should start saving now. So the former Social Security commissioner is saying within the next month to 3 months, Social Security is going to collapse and that the checks are going to stop going out, right? Now, at the same time that this is happening, speaking of Ponzi schemes, right? This can't be understated how massive this would be, not only for how disastrous it would be for people's lives, but politically as well for Trump and Republicans. They would be absolutely cooked. That would be kind of the end of it, at least if you ask me. But at the same time as that insane situation is going on, part of the conversation in this clip that's been going around was the most viral of this back and forth with Trump and Elon. This part got cut off because the lead up to their conversation was Joe actually talking about crypto and meme coins and how it's kind of a scam. And Elon was hesitant to say that crypto can be, a source of fraud or scammery, but then transitioned that into accusing Social Security of being a Ponzi scheme. So let's go ahead and watch the beginning of what led up to that conversation about Social Security.
The weird one is the pump and dumps. Like people
happen all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And people get shocked that somebody pump and dumped. Like, what are you doing? I was hoping to dump. I was hoping to make all the money out of this. I can't believe they got me.
Yeah.
It's just weird that it's legal still.
Casinos are legal.
Yeah.
And
it is
people
like a
just
casino.
lose money at casinos.
Yeah. But you can't rig a casino like a pump and dump. You could rig a pump and dump.
Yeah, I guess so.
You could run a real pyramid scheme.
Well, the government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So again, he transitions it away from criticizing crypto or pump and dumps. And that's just amazing from Joe there. First off, that you can't rig a casino. I guess there are more regulations around casinos than there are around crypto. That's true. But casinos are kind of rigged just in the sense that the house always wins. They're always going to, come out as a loss on net over time if you're going to a casino. But there is a difference there, which is that a lot of these meme coins and a lot of crypto is literally just a 100% fraudulent scam on people, where you get this hype train going, and sometimes you have big players or celebrities that get in on it, or politicians, like in the case of Trump, who recently launched his own meme coin, and they'll hype it up, and you'll have this big launch, and it skyrockets to the moon, and then the big players jump out, they cash out, and then everybody else is left holding the bag, and they get screwed over. This happens over and over and over again, and somehow this isn't considered illegal. Like, people are not getting arrested for this. But Elon has nothing to say about that, apparently. But he immediately jumps into attacking Social Security, which is somehow a scam, even though crypto isn't a scam. But now we move on to this aspect of it. Because Trump, just I think yesterday or 2 days ago, announced a U.S. crypto reserve. Okay? So keep in mind the millions of dollars that he got from pro-crypto donors, the millions, if not billions, that he was able to make off of his own scam meme coin, defrauding his own followers. And keep in mind that his current board czar, David Sachs, who we'll get to more here in a minute, has massive investments in the crypto industry. He's now launching a crypto reserve, okay? He says, "This is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential working group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, SOL, and ADA. I will make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again." It's pointed out here by Heath Mayo. He says this is more outright corruption from the Trump administration. Essentially, we're buying the crypto bags of insiders with taxpayer money to shore up the risky positions of Trump's family and friends. This is a bailout all over again, except it isn't real estate or healthcare or federally regulated banking or any other strategically important sector. It's government picking three winners in the crypto space and asking taxpayers to foot the risk. Stupid. This isn't government's role, even if you're a crypto fan. This put a damper on the space. And that's a good point at the end there, right? Because isn't kind of the whole point of crypto to sort of like be an alternative to centralized currencies? Right? But now we're having the U.S. federal government, the largest economy on the face of the world, the most powerful dollar in the world, is now going to be backstopping a few hand-selected currencies in the crypto space that just so happen to coincide with some of Trump and his friends' investments in the crypto space. Like, this is utterly insane, guys. This is not, like he pointed out there, and obviously I would have disagreements with how the U.S. government handled the bailouts after the '08 financial crash and everything, but this is even worse than that, because at least with like the bailouts that came then, you know, maybe you're bailing out the auto industry and you happen to save some jobs, or you're bailing out real estate, or you're bailing out banks, and like there's something, I guess, tangible about that. There is nothing tangible about this crypto bailout other than just wealthy investors who have close ties to Trump, who want to be able to cash out and want the price to be stable, essentially, because it's backed by U.S. taxpayers now, apparently. Now, to get into more of the specifics of David Sachs, Trump's crypto czar, and his conflict of interest when it comes to crypto. So he says here from Derek Martin, Sachs' company Craft Ventures has been invested in a startup called Bitwise since at least 2017, and he is the primary investor. Right now, Bitwise is celebrating because the main crypto coins going into the Crypto Strategic Reserve Fund just so happen to match Bitwise's top 5 crypto holdings. You see what's going on here? They say these coins are all pumping like crazy on this strategic reserve announcement, which means Bitwise investment and its investors, like David Sachs, are making a ton of money right now. So it begs the question, how much input did David Sachs have on which tokens are going into the strategic reserve? Did Sachs let his portfolio company Bitwise know this announcement was coming? And how much is he profiting from this massive pump in token prices? Now, we also had this very suspicious activity going on over the last couple of days. So they say here, this is unusual. 24 hours ago, someone took $200 million worth of Ethereum and Bitcoin longs on a 50x leverage, which means that even a 2% drop in Bitcoin would have liquidated $200 million. Today, after that investment is made, Trump announces the U.S. crypto reserve, and somehow now the prices are spiraling or spiking. So obviously the implication here is maybe somebody knew something and took a massive $200 million bet on that something ahead of time. $200 million. I don't know if I would be making that kind of bet unless I was sure that something like this was going to happen. So is this, a textbook case of insider trading essentially? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. We also have this, just furthering on the brazen corruption in the Trump administration. I mean, it really is just like so in your face at every stage of this so far. But here we have from Popular Info. The SEC halted a fraud prosecution of a Chinese national who sent Trump millions of dollars. So this is insane. They say, in December, Popular Information reported that Chinese crypto entrepreneur Justin Sun purchased $30 million in crypto tokens from World Liberty Financial, or WLF, which is a new venture backed by Donald Trump and his family. Sun's purchase resulted in a cash windfall for Trump. On Wednesday, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and Sun sent a joint letter to a federal judge asking for a stay of Sun's case, and then the judge granted the SEC's request. So the background is that in March of 2023, the SEC charged Sun and 3 of his companies, accusing him of marketing unregistered securities and, quote, fraudulently manipulating the secondary market for a crypto token. So, in other words, this guy got caught fraudulently manipulating crypto markets. He was charged with a crime. Then he basically gives $30 million to Donald Trump through this World Liberty Financial crypto venture. And then Trump turns around and gets him out of his case. I mean, it's just, again, the most brazen pay for play that I've ever seen in my life. And this is not the only example of this from the Trump administration so far. Now, we also have here again as a reminder about Trump's meme coin. They say SEC says meme coins are not subjected to securities regulations. Trump meme coin was valued at more than $74 before plummeting to $12. And they also say here from Futurism that virtually everybody who's ever bought Trump's meme coin has lost money on it. And he said, quote, "I don't know much about it other than I launched it." So there you have it, guys. We have the single wealthiest man on earth, Elon Musk, who has hijacked the federal government and is currently threatening to rip Social Security into a million pieces. Again, one of the most wildly successful social programs. It pulled, I think it was 2/3 of elderly people out of poverty in the United States. Wildly successful, wildly popular. And he's attacking that under the guise of, well, we need to save some money. We can't afford it. At the same time that the Republican Party is trying to push forward with a multi-trillion-dollar blow-up of the debt and deficit in order to give a tax cut to people like Elon Musk. And at the same time as that is happening, as all of these federal programs are being ripped to shreds by the wealthiest man on earth, we have Trump essentially giving a massive handout to the crypto industry. A huge, unprecedented bailout, backstopping hand-selected cryptocurrencies to the direct financial benefit of many of his donors and buddies and members of his administration and himself personally. So, I mean, again, guys, it could not be overstated just how brazen the conflicts of interest are, just how brazen the corruption is. It's almost as if they're doing it intentionally. Like it's literally almost as if they're rubbing our faces in it, as if to say, we can get away with whatever we want. There is no such thing as truth anymore. There is no such thing as crime anymore. There is no such thing as accountability anymore. We can do whatever the fuck we want, and you guys will sit down and eat it.
Politic guy has the best politic. Believe me, no one does it like him. Believe me, everyone is saying